everyone, I'm back to color the dress now, and for the top I will be using pale sage, dark green, and apple green in the Prismacolor pencils. It won't take very long to do the top because it's quite small, but my idea with the dresses for the fairies, at least the first several that I illustrated, were that their dresses were to look like flowers, like they had taken the top of a flower off, and so that is why I'm doing green on the top, because that would be the little, I don't know, you know, the little part that goes underneath the blossom part of the flower. And originally I had thought about coloring this dress in with yellow, but after I did the hair, I felt like another color would look better, so I decided to do something kind of a dark magenta burgundy sort of color. So in the description below, I will list the colors actually that I used on the dress, because there are a few more, and I think it'll be easier that way for you to look at them if you're following along, so that you can use the same colors if you want to. If not, just pick 3 to 4 colors that go from light to dark. I'm just putting a little more of the darkest shade of green under the arm, because of course there would be a lot more shadow there, so that's what I'm doing. And then I'm just going to blend that out with the mineral spirits and wait for it to dry before I do another layer of color. So I'm using a smaller brush because it's kind of a smaller area. And just try not to get back into the areas that you've already colored of the skin, because you could smudge some green over onto that and mess it up. I'm starting with the shadows first in the skirt part of the dress, and I'll be starting with a dark purple and just getting kind of the flower petal shape in, because I want the dress to have some dimension and look, you know, like a flower instead of just being flat. I didn't draw those petals in because I wanted to leave the option for you to color it how you wanted to. And I feel like there's more design possibilities without me putting the lines in there. So just go ahead and lay your shadows in as you want them to be. So Prismacolor doesn't really have like a dark and then a light burgundy or maroon type shade. So I'll just be blending together some reds, pinks, and purples that will get me the shade that I want. So after I finish getting all my shadows laid in with the dark purple, I will be switching to raspberry, which is a redder shade. So we're putting a little shade under the arm, because besides the creases where the petals are, there would be a shadow underneath her arm, under the wand. So we're just going around those areas as well. Remember to keep the layers thin so that the colors can blend together to turn that nice burgundy shade. Otherwise, you're going to have really purple shadows and they're not going to blend together with the reds to make the burgundy color that we're going for here. And I'm just taking my time to slowly extend the shadows out as big as I want them to be, because with pencils, you can't really take away the color once it's there. You can erase it a little bit, but not all the way. So I just want to take my time and get it exactly how I want it. Okay, so now I'm switching to the raspberry, and I'm going back over the shadows, which I've already colored, and I'll be extending out just a little further with the raspberry colored pencil. Again, keeping the layers even and smooth, and coloring in kind of a circular motion, not to make it streaky. And I'm also going slowly with this and gradually extending the areas that I'm shading, because remember, you can always add more later, but it's much harder to take it away. This is the same with any type of coloring you're doing, whether it's painting or Copics, so just take your time. I know it seems like it takes longer to do it this way, and it does, but I think that in the end the results are usually better. And I'm also going to be using this same color combination to color in the hearts in her little hair bows and the heart on her wand. Okay, now I'm switching to the magenta, and that's gonna brighten everything up a little bit. And I'm coming a little closer into the center with this color and starting to bring together the top and bottom of the coloring. By that I mean the separation of the petals. I'm starting to bring those kind of together so that you can see the separation more. And just keep lightly going over all the colors so that we're changing the tone of everything as we do this. And you can see that that dark purple is starting to take on a burgundy look. And now I'm just very, very, very lightly shading over the whole area. Because next I'm going to use the pink colored pencil to color in the center parts. And then after I've done this, I'll take the mineral spirits on my paintbrush to blend it all together before I do another layer. So while I'm coloring this in, I do want to mention, I think I forgot in the last video, that the paper I'm coloring on is some old paper I have by Stampin' Up. It is called Naturals Ivory, and it kind of has the feel of craft paper. I really love coloring with colored pencils on paper that's not slick, that has that feel of craft paper, because it just makes a really nice surface for your pencils to really get in there and do a lot of layers, because slick paper very quickly gets waxy feeling and you can't do as many layers on it. Also, the mineral spirits helps with that some, because it kind of knocks off some of that waxy feel and pushes it down into the paper so that you can do more layers as well. But I would really suggest getting some paper that doesn't feel so slick for doing your colored pencil coloring on. It works much better, in my opinion. So I'm going back again and deepening the shadows. Again with the dark purple, just a little bit. And then I'm going to come back and blend the shadows just a little more with the raspberry before I blend with the odorless mineral spirits. So I'm going to go ahead and put some music on now, because after I have used the mineral spirits and let that dry, I'm just going to go back through these colors again. And then I'll also be moving on to putting the same color into the hearts. So now that the green on the dress has had time to get good and dry, I'm also going to go back over those colors again just to make them a little richer and a little more vibrant. You might have noticed that my lightest color looks really worn out. That's because it's a fantastic color. So if you don't have the pale sage in your collection, I would really suggest getting it because it's a really gorgeous color. And I use it a lot to go over my different shades of green to blend and make the highlights. Right now the color you see me with is apple green. Okay, now I'm bringing in another color called Tuscan Red. It's a really gorgeous, deep, rich maroon shade that's just going to be just perfect for this. So I'm just going to go back into my darkest areas that I want to get the most shadow in and add some of the Tuscan Red. So I'm just going over this another time with the mineral spirits, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but I usually keep a paper towel in the bottom of a glass cup, and I just pour a little of the mineral spirits in there and dab my paintbrush on it, and then before I touch it to my paper, I wipe it off a little bit on another paper towel because you don't want it to be so saturated with mineral spirits that it bleeds all over the place. So I just thought I would point that out because I think I forgot to say it earlier. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm just going to keep blending this in with the mineral spirits. Okay, we're almost to the end of the video, and I am now going to start working on the hair bows and the underneath of the dress, which I've decided to do in just kind of an antique white color. So I will be using light umber for the shadow areas, and then I'll be using peach beige, eggshell I believe is what I use, and white to just do a nice creamy color for her bows and underskirt. I also want to say, since we're toward the end of the video, that if you have purchased something from my shop and you would like to see a tutorial on how to color it, or you followed me over from Instagram and have a request, I'm happy to hear it, because I'm going to try to start making more of these videos. I don't know if I'll be able to do it once a week, but yeah, maybe every other week at least. I would like to try to make a video. I really enjoy coloring and coloring with colored pencils. It's great. I think it takes a little more time than some other mediums do, but I just love the results, and it's very relaxing for me. Getting a little bit in the way. I'm just keeping the shadows with the underskirt in line with the shadows that I made on the darker pink part of her skirt, and getting them just a little wider towards the bottom of that area that I'm coloring in right now with the shadows. I'm sure you'll see it in just a minute when my hand is out of the way. I'm sorry. So it kind of, feathers out and gets narrower as it gets up toward that burgundy part of the skirt, as you can see there. Oh, sorry. Hopefully my video skills will improve as I've practiced this. I'm not really sure what was happening just then. I might have been turning the camera on and off. That could be what's happening. But as soon as I've gotten through doing these shadows with the light umber, I'll be switching to the peach beige to feather it out towards the center, which will then end up with just white. going to come in now with some dark umber to further deepen the shadows that I've done. And it'll just add a little more contrast, so a little more drama, and make everything pop just a little bit more. So I just wanted to point that out. Now I'm switching back to the light umber because I'm gonna still go over these a few times with the different shades, but it's such a small area that I will not be using the mineral spirits to blend. I find it usually just unnecessary in such small little areas, and just burnishing it with the white and the different colors I'm using blends them nicely. So you're just seeing me go back over things another time. Like a crazy person, I know, but really in real life, you can see it getting smoother and the white paper behind becoming less visible with each pass. And I just keep doing it until it looks exactly perfect in the way I want it to look. So that's what's happening. And I'm just going back with a little more of the pink to brighten it up and highlight it. Give those hearts some dimension. And as you can see, I still have to do the heart and the wand too. I won't tell you what I'm doing there because it's just going to be more of the same. So I'm continuing with this a little longer. We'll still have the wings to go and the wand. When I do the wand, it's such a very tiny area. I'm just going to use a little goldenrod with a little cream down the middle, and that's it. It won't be a lot of layers and it won't be any blending with the mineral spirits. So it'll just take a little second. And then when we get to the wings, I'll be using the same colors that I used on the top. So if you're new to coloring with colored pencils, I hope this has been helpful. What you're going to see me switch to now is the white, and that may be surprising, but if you have experience with colored pencils, then you might know already that the white just it really almost works as like a blending tool to bring all the colors together. And it also brightens everything up and really helps with the contrast in the highlight areas. Prismacolor makes a blending pencil, but honestly, I just prefer using the white most of the time for blending, for bringing the colors together. Or sometimes I'll use a very, very almost white shade of the other colors I'm working with. Most of the time though, I think the white does the best job for blending and bringing the colors together. So that's what I'm doing now. Pretty happy with the way the color turned out. I don't use this color a lot, this sort of burgundy shade, but I just really felt like it was gonna look really good with the tones in her hair, and I'm happy with how it looks. So you just see me sometimes using a brush if there's little bits of pencil that have gotten on my paper, because if you use your hand to wipe it away, it can push the little bit of pencil that's on the page and smear it across it and make a little mess. But with a soft brush, you can brush it away or blow it away, either one. You just don't want random smears on your paper, that's all. So here we are finally getting to that wand, and if you've been coloring along with me, your fairy's almost done and mine's almost done. And hopefully, if you have been coloring along with me, you've stopped and taken a few breaks, or else I bet your hand is cramping by now. Because mine was starting to. And I got a little impatient, I guess, with this last heart and didn't take as much time on it, but it's not the focal point of the image, and it's going to turn out fine, I promise. And here we get to see the magic of the mineral spirits again. It's always a little exciting using it for me because it just suddenly starts turning bright. I love it. Anyway, here it is. We're going to use the mineral spirits on it to smooth it out because I didn't take as much time, so I needed to smooth it out with the mineral spirits before I move on to the rest of the image. So I was about to color the wand, and then I noticed a little stray mark where I had gotten, probably when I was doing the mineral spirits, some of the burgundy on the wand. And this is actually an eraser that you sharpen just like a pencil, so it can get a very fine tip and get really perfectly in the areas you need to erase. And now I'm just doing really quickly down each side of the wand with the goldenrod, and then I'll do right in the middle with the cream. So that part was super quick. Okay, we finally come to the wings, and that is the most defining feature of a fairy. And also, because she's a fairy, they need to be sparkly. So we're going to be using glitter stickles actually on top of the wings. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on getting really detailed with the coloring of the wings. I'm just going to start with a really even thin layer of the apple green, the same one I used on her little top. Both wings, just kind of a thin, even coat with the apple green. And the stickles I'm using is, I believe the color is called Crystal, so they kind of have a green cast. And we don't have to spend so much time on the wings because the light from the glitter is going to kind of diffuse them anyway, and you're not going to see a lot of the detail. If we did put it there, it wouldn't be that visible. So now I'm going back with the dark green and doing just a little bit of shadows with the dark green. Just basically around her body and a slightly little bit at the bottom of the wing. Not much. I want to keep them really light so that they feel sort of transparent. So just a little along the bottom edge and feathering it out so that it blends in with that apple green. doing the same thing to the other side so that the wings match. Now I'm going to use the sage to blend the two colors together, and then I'll finish up with some white blending from the tips inward. For the finishing touches, I'm just going to be adding some little specks of gel pen to represent the fairy dust, and I think it gives it a really nice look. It makes it seem very glittery and magical. And then we'll go back over the wings with the crystal stickles, and also in a few spots on her dress and hair as well. Okay guys, so that's all for today. If you have any unanswered questions that I can help you with, just leave them in the comments and I'll try to make sure that I answer those. Also, I will leave a link to the image and a list of the pencils I used in this video. I hope that this was helpful and that you enjoyed it very much. Thank you for being with me today. And I hope to see you again really soon. Thanks guys. Bye.